One of Australia's most prominent business leaders has raised the possibility of increasing the Medicare levy to keep funding the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the controversial program to improve the lives of people with disabilities.
Part of their longer-term strategy to try and get more lower house seats,
604,000 new jobs by 2030, and the National Disability Insurance Scheme.
There is a big discussion to be had here for the nation.
Walk down any street in Australia today and you'll bump into someone running an NDIS business. Your neighbour's cousin just started a support coordination company. That bloke from the pub is now a therapeutic support worker. Even your hairdresser's sister-in-law has become a capacity building specialist. It's like everyone woke up one morning and decided they were disability experts. But what I'm about to show you will make your blood run cold. This isn't just about people jumping on a bandwagon. This is about the systematic destruction of a scheme meant to help Australia's most vulnerable people.
Actually costs more every year than it costs to run Medicare, and those costs will continue to increase.
Here's the number that should terrify every Australian taxpayer. $63.4 billion. That's what the NDIS will cost us by 2028. More than we spend on defence, education or infrastructure combined. We're talking about $2,400 for every single Australian, including babies and pensioners. But here's the kicker. The scheme was originally supposed to cost $22 billion by now. We've blown past that by more than double. The growth rate is so insane that economists are calling it fiscally unsustainable. We're literally spending ourselves into bankruptcy on a scheme that's spiralling completely out of control. The participant numbers tell the real story. Started with 460,000 people. Supposed to level off at 500,000. We're now at 692,000 and climbing like a rocket. That's not a 38% increase. That's a complete failure of every single projection the government made.
The problem with this is when you treat it like a welfare scheme, it becomes a welfare scheme.
Now, here's where it gets really dark. The Fraud Fusion Task Force has uncovered criminal syndicates operating across multiple states, stealing millions from disabled Australians. We're not talking about a few dodgy providers. We're talking about organised crime. Take Khawaja Moeen Haroon. This bloke is under investigation for running a network of companies that claimed NDIS funding for people who didn't even have disabilities, fake medical reports, fictional participants, the whole 9 yards. We're talking millions of dollars flowing through his network. But here's the truly shocking part. The task force has applied payment locks to almost 1,000 providers. That's not 1,000 suspicious claims. That's 1,000 entire businesses deemed so dodgy they had to freeze all payments immediately. Nearly 5% of the entire industry is under investigation for fraud. There are reports of criminals in Pakistan using stolen Australian credentials to access the NDIS portal and claim funds. Foreign criminals are literally stealing money meant for disabled Australians, and our government's response has been pathetically inadequate.
An ASD. As I'm under 25, my ASD diagnosis was covered by Medicare. For ADHD, there is no such Medicare allowance for diagnosis that allows Australians to obtain the benefits of treatment and support.
Here's something that'll make you sick to your stomach. Parents are shopping around for autism diagnoses because they know it unlocks tens of thousands of dollars in NDIS funding. There are now diagnostic mills, clinics that specialise in finding disabilities that qualify for funding. Autism diagnoses have exploded since the NDIS launched. Now, I'm not saying autism isn't real. It absolutely is. But when a diagnosis can unlock $50,000 plus per year in funding, human nature kicks in. Some parents are essentially buying diagnoses for their kids. Teachers and healthcare workers are reporting pressure from parents to support NDIS applications for children who don't meet the criteria. The reasonable and necessary test has become a joke because nobody wants to be seen as discriminating against disabled people. The system was designed to help genuinely disabled Australians. but it's being gamed by people who see dollar signs. And every fake diagnosis means less money available for people who actually need support.
I've been diagnosed with ADHD and ASD.
Here's the conspiracy that's hiding in plain sight. The NDIS has become the biggest job creation scheme in Australian history, and it's completely intentional. The government knows the unemployment figures look better when hundreds of thousands of people are employed in the disability sector. Think about all these new job categories that didn't exist before. Support coordinators, plan managers, capacity building specialists, therapeutic support workers. These aren't real jobs. They're bureaucratic positions created to manage other bureaucratic positions. A support coordinator is literally someone whose job exists because the system is too complex for disabled people to navigate. It's like hiring someone to help you use your toaster because the toaster is fundamentally broken. The government is using disabled Australians as an excuse to create employment for non-disabled Australians. It's economic manipulation disguised as social policy, and it's costing us billions.
I legitimately had a woman encourage me to bring Elio to the brink of an autistic meltdown before we went into a session so that they could witness it rather than take my word for it. You are guilty until proven worthy.
While this industry is booming and everyone's making money, the people who actually need support are getting screwed. Genuine NDIS participants are drowning in paperwork, dealing with undertrained support workers and spending more time managing their plans than receiving actual support. Families are reporting that they spend 20 plus hours per week just managing the administrative side of their NDIS plan. That's a part-time job just to access the support their disabled family member is entitled to. The focus has completely shifted from what does this person need to what can we bill for. Support workers are incentivised to maximise hours rather than achieve outcomes. It's a system that rewards inefficiency and punishes results. Meanwhile, the waiting lists for genuine services are getting longer because the system is clogged with people who shouldn't be there in the first place.
As part of our investigation into the latest cost blowout of the NDIS scheme, which is expected to cost around $100 billion a year in the next decade, dwarfing the annual budgets for defence, Medicare and aged pensions.
Here's the fact that should shame every Australian politician. We now spend more per capita on disability support than any other country in the world, nearly twice as much as Germany or the Netherlands. Countries with excellent disability systems. Either Australians are twice as disabled as Europeans, or we're paying twice as much for the same level of support. Given that our health outcomes are similar to other developed countries, I know which explanation makes more sense. The NDIS was supposed to be world leading, and it is. It's leading the world in how to waste money on disability support while making outcomes worse for the people you're supposed to help.
And ask for some more. If it costs a lot of money, so be it. We have to have a look at what we can afford.
We've created a monster. The NDIS has become too big to fail and too profitable to fix. There are now hundreds of thousands of jobs that depend on this broken system continuing to grow, regardless of whether it actually helps disabled people. Every day we delay reform. The system gets more entrenched, more expensive and harder to fix. The people making money from this system have no incentive to change it, and they're the ones with political influence. We can continue throwing money at a system that's become a jobs program for the non-disabled, or we can admit we've created a monster and start over. But we need to choose soon, because this financial black hole is going to bankrupt the country. The real tragedy is that while we're spending record amounts on disability support, the people who actually need help are worse off than ever. That's not just policy failure, it's a moral catastrophe. To see the latest Australian crisis, click this video here.